Wonderful morning to viewers across the world and the continent at large. You're welcome to the sports segment of the weekend show. I'm Ayo Adams. Now the headlines. Rafa Nadal returns to tennis after a year away on tour. The 22-time Grand Slam champion has not played since his second round defeat to American Mackenzie McConnell at the Australian Open at the start of the 2023 season, when he was hampered by a hip injury. The Clay King made the announcement of his return on Friday afternoon. He is now scheduled to make his first appearance at the Brisbane International in the first week of January. The Spaniard in the clip talked about how he was hampered by injury and how he didn't want to resign or retire from the sport via a press conference. He wants to go down running by playing tennis. If you have the clip, can you go up, please?
After 1 year outside of the tour, I think it's the right moment to be back. So I feel ready to announce that I will be back in Brisbane the first week of the season.
All right. In football, the UEFA Champions League rounded off its matchday 5 with exciting and thrilling encounters from the Joaos earning their keep as they sent Barcelona to their first knockout stages since Messi's departure, to Manchester United squandering a 2-goal lead against Turkish side Galatasaray, no thanks to an abysmal goalkeeping by Andre Onana. There was also the controversial moment in the group of death between PSG and Newcastle at the Parc des Princes, while Arsenal qualified with the spectacular 6-0 thrashing of Lund, as Real Madrid youngsters Jude Bellingham and Rodrigo goals continue to light up the Bernabeu. As some teams have secured their qualifications into the next round, others will wait till matchday 6 to see where they stand. Now to the talk of the day. Talent, they say, is a natural ability to do something exceptional with ease, but to make it into professional football, talent sometimes has become an unreliable attribute for a journey that sometimes requires luck, despite having the required talent. I'm joined in the studio with Solomon Aina, the founder of the NextGen company, an African talent scouting, management, development, and marketing organization, to shed light on the journey of how they've scouted, developed, and marketed aspiring footballers to accomplish their dreams. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Let's talk about NextGen. Who are NextGen? What do they do, and how have they been able to, be on the map of African grassroots football development?
So actually, NextGen started all the way back in Southampton, in the United Kingdom. So I studied football studies. One of the few people, or actually I believe I'm the first person actually in Nigeria with that degree. So basically, we started off as a scouting platform, looking at undiscovered talents back in the UK. Then we realized that, obviously, I'm from Nigeria, so I was like, it has to come back, to the motherland.
Yep.
So basically, since when we started, I've worked with over 6 to 7 players, the likes of Ibrahim Said, Tolu, Tunde Akinsola, and actually foreign players, one from Saudi Arabia, then one from Yemen, then another one that plays for the England B team.
All right.
So their sea level over there.
All right. We just spoke about, you mentioned a promising player, Tolu Arokodare, who I'm the big fan of. Players such as Tolu Arokodare, who plays for Genk, Tunde Akinshola, just like you mentioned, plays for Valladolid, the Ibrahim side plays for Viborg. Walk us through, how were you able to acquire this talent? And there's one thing about talent acquisition. There's another thing in scouting them, managing them, and eventually marketing them into the European football network. How was that able to happen?
So basically, like I mentioned, we first started off as a scouting platform. So basically, we used our social media handles to attract this talent. So we started off like a Netflix-based football platform.
Yeah.
So the likes of Tolu, actually, I knew him since back from high school. So he contacted us via our Instagram page. Then as of then, I think he went for a football showcase in Anderlecht.
Yeah.
He was in Belgium for some time, then came back to Nigeria. Then after some couple of clients, we had an offer for him for Norway. Unfortunately, that did not matter. So before Norway, he had Norway first, then he went to Latvia. So in Latvia, that's when his whole career just started out. Then Tunde Akinsola started all the way since 2019.
Yeah.
He was playing for a certain club called Violent FC in Lagos. And they found him when he was like 15 and so, and he was actually a good talent. So another way we found him was our platform again. So we got an offer for him from Turkey, in the top tier in Turkey. Then, however, like I mentioned, there's something about managing the talent, because in football, there are various parts to it.
Yeah.
we can discover and manage, but he or she can move to like a different agency. So it's like, yes, we found them, yes, we managed them, but obviously at the moment they are with like new agencies and they work there. Then the last one is Ibrahim Said.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting. So
Because I know you played for the under Nigerians.
the under 17 World Cup, I think was the highest goal scorer.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so actually, it was a player that we definitely wanted to acquire, obviously, but due to certain issues, we could not. But although we had the standing offer for him to Norway, he was meant to go to Norway to sign. Unfortunately, due to some internal issues, that could not work out. But yeah, but those are like the top three names.
So now we've talked about the top players. Let's come down back to the grassroots. You just mentioned that, you know, some at the end of the day, some of these players, they can eventually move on to, you know, another platform for representation. You know, what are the difficulties that you meet along the way, the obstacles you meet along the way when trying to get this player into the top flight? Because I personally know that it's a very, very big task to get a player from point A to point B and having that player still sit pretty on your worksheet. What are the obstacles that come along the way, and how have you been able to scale through them?
I would say the hardest obstacle for African players is the mentality aspect. So most of them, majority, once they go to Europe, they just lose focus. And one of the most concerning part is the consistency. If you notice, few African players right now are quite consistent. Yeah. Especially in Nigeria, I can mention the likes of Victor Boniface, Osimhen,
Sadiq Umar.
But now, if you notice, the likes of Iheanacho, Winfred Ndidi, you see there's a fluctuating. So the mentality aspect, and actually there's this sort of attitude that comes to African players. They just believe they can do everything on their own. They don't need any manager, so they give it to their family members to be their agent. And obviously, when your family member is agents,
they're not objective with certain things.
Yeah, so basically, just like they don't take it as serious as we take it.
If you would advise a young player in the grassroots watching now or will watch this later, what kind of advice would you give somebody who is aspiring to be a footballer, who is probably somewhere this morning training on a sandy or a stony pitch, trying to get out of, trying to accomplish his or her dreams? What would you advise such player to do? What are the roadmaps and rudiments for development?
I believe the first roadmap, obviously, is getting a good football team. Obviously, you can't be playing. Yes, first of all, grassroots starts from the sandy pitches, but obviously there are certain teams that pick players from these grassroots teams. So once you get a proper team, the next aspect is your talent. A lot of players in Africa believe in their pace, their technical abilities, but it goes beyond that. Because obviously, when I was back in the UK, I was the scout of AFC Bournemouth that plays in the English Premier League now. I also had a showcase with Spurs in the Premier League. So the mentality aspect is what a lot of players don't realize, because obviously, how consistent can you be in 5 different matches? Sunny, sandy, snowing, like that. And the thing about going over there is that once you're over there, you work with different coaches, different things.
The orientation is quite different.
Yeah, but for me, our scouting methodology starts with the talents, the uniqueness. So basically, the talent comes what you don't, like what you can do on the pitch.
Yeah.
Uniqueness is how often can you make someone that wow factor. So that's what I actually look at. Then there comes the X factor. The X factor is like if you look at likes of Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, they have certain X factors that just makes them top talents. Yeah. Then the last one is stats. Obviously, if you notice, this day, people don't scout player without stats too.
Yeah.
Like it all
comes apps to do that now these days.
It all comes down to analysis. So obviously, yeah, that is it.
All right. Finally, you know, I've been meaning to ask this question to anybody I see in football. Is talent enough? Is talent enough for you to make it in professional football?
Well, I'll say talent gets you into the door, but to stay inside the door, consistency and mentality.
Consistency and mentality. That's a fine place to live it. That has been Solomon Aina, the founder of the NextGen company, a company who prides themselves in scouting, managing, developing and marketing players across Europe. They've also marketed some big players, the likes of Tora Kodare and a lot more superstars. Well, that's where we'll leave you today on the sports segment of the Weekend Show. I'm Ayo Adams. You can follow me on social media platforms at Ayo Adams SS. We'll be seeing you same time next week. Bye-bye for now.